don't know what I'm gonna call this, but it says our House of Dragon versus Rings of Power.
Yeah, House of the Dragon versus Rings of Power. Rings of Power. Yeah. So, or Lord of the Rings, the Lords, or Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power.
Yeah, so technically that's its full name. So
yeah. Presented by Jeff Bezos.
With Amazon.
Jeff Bezos and Amazon presents Lord of the Rings presents : / the Rings of Power, period.
Yeah.
The other one's just House of the Dragon.
Yeah. Not even Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Although it uses the exact same theme song, but...
Yeah. And essentially the same intro.
Well, it's actually... sort of same style, like intro video. What do you call it? Opening credits.
Yeah, the sort of the same style as Game of Thrones.
I think it's blood now, though, instead of clocks.
Yeah. But it's like a little mini city with stuff happening in it.
Yeah, because we stick pretty close to King's Landing.
Yeah. Okay. So, and yeah, we got toys that we found at the comic shop. I didn't think they made action figures of Lord of the Rings, but...
Rings of the Dragons?
Yeah.
That can be what you call it, the show.
Of course, no toys for Rings of Power yet,
or House of the Dragon. Yeah, even none of those Funko Pops when we were looking really had anyone. Yeah. This has been around for like a month now. Like, these shows have been on for a month, so there should be something.
Yeah, so I just grabbed some stuff from the comic shop. We got Daenerys here. Season 1 Daenerys. The pre-crazy Daenerys.
Yeah, and then, all the Lord of the Rings characters from 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, plus...
where that sword comes out of that sheath. That'd be cool.
Well, let's find out.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can start opening this.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
So, yeah, there's no Rings of Power. It's really just the old Lord of the Rings stuff. There's no... Yeah, no, or Aragorn is, 87 in the movie, so he's too young for this show?
Yeah.
So it's like 1,000 years or so?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is compare the two. We're going to do like a show versus type of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I need to find a good name for that.
Like, it's Rings versus Dragons anyway, isn't it? So maybe we can get something from that. That's not important. What's important is Aragorn. Oh yeah, these guys, we don't have the full set apparently.
Aragorn. Aragorn is the failed Lord of the Rings ripoff.
But this comes with bits of Sauron, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're doing that thing now.
There's his leg that's as tall as Aragorn. What were you saying?
They're doing that thing now where they have pieces of an extra action figure in all the other action figure boxes, so you have to buy them all to get the special action figure.
I don't know how new that is, but that seems to be a trend I'm seeing a lot.
Yeah.
Like with one specifically I know is the the Suicide Squad. If you get all the Suicide Squad, you get Sylvester Stallone as Shark. Because he played the shark in the movie.
Yeah, I see DC is doing that. Stuff. But
yeah.
I think Marvel, I think I saw some Marvel stuff. Diamond Select is definitely doing it. But anyway.
So I guess with Aragorn, you get Sauron-wise, you get an arm and a leg. I guess someone else has his other arm and leg. Get in there to open this. Oh, his sword fell out. Is it sheathed? Ah! Oh!
Yeah. Oh. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, nice and shiny. Is this the Excalibur that Isildur used to kill the... It has writing on it. Is this the Isildur sword? Because he's got a plain sword here, too, on his body.
There, that's his regular sword. This might be the Birder.
Yeah, can you get it in there?
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Yeah, well, these aren't exactly cheap. They're like $40 each, so they should have some sort of cool quality to them. All right, so yeah, so we will then just quickly. Do you want to get Gandalf out of the way then? So yes, starting with House of Dragons. Who's the showrunners on this then?
IMDb wants me to get their map, but I don't want it.
For some reason, trying to just find out the showrunners of House of the Dragon is not super easy. Okay, so some guy named Ryan Condal is the sole showrunner, so it's not a double team this time.
So what else has he done?
Well, he did stuff on Game of Thrones, showrunner for a show called Colony, screenwriter for the 2014 film Hercules. Colony is a science fiction drama. It was canceled after 3 seasons, but I never heard of it. Because that's how TV works now. There's just a ton of it that you never even know about. It's a dystopian near future Los Angeles it takes place in anyway. With a military occupation. And things like that.
Yeah, so here's the Daenerys. This is about $20. There's not really much you get out of this one, looks like.
Yeah, is it, I don't know if it was like an older thing or if it's a newer one.
I think it's pretty old.
Because this first series, where's that box? It says here the first series has like Jon Snow, Tyrion, the Hound, White Walker, the Daenerys here, and Ned Stark. So these are all season 1 guys too, I guess. Yeah, I don't know when this one was made.
She has a little dragon accessory too.
This is also made by Funko. Official HBO licensed product, copyright 2014. This is probably a bit older than.
Looks like it goes on her shoulder here.
Yeah, from the end of the first season.
And eggs on its feet. But they don't stick.
Oh.
Or it's not very well.
Sauron's leg doesn't hold up very well.
Meh. Alright, whatever.
Alright, let's get to the review.
The review, yes. So far, we are 5 episodes in on each.
Yeah, halfway.
Yes. So far.
And they're on their big turning point as well.
Yeah. Because after this 5th episode of House of Dragon...
just lean her on the microphone.
After this
That's
fifth,
never a good idea.
Yeah, after this 5th episode of House of Dragons, there's going to be a time skip.
It's like a little bug, actually.
So yeah, and now, so we're going to break it down into categories of first the story, and the visuals, and the acting. Like story-wise and visuals, like set design, costumes, makeup, and all that, and then acting of like the casting choices and how well they do. So first, the story. I think right now, House of Dragon has a much better story.
Yeah, I like it. I like following it more than this fantasy story we're doing with Lord of the Rings. Fantasy story, I guess. Because, yeah, we get to, well, actually, I think right now one of the most popular shows on HBO is a show called Succession as well, about media empire family sort of having to change generations. So I don't know if this is a theme Succession that HBO is going to...
Oh, his sword comes out too.
I was going to save that for... Anyway, yes. Yeah, so anyway, I enjoy, I guess, the how they do the politics and the relationships between everybody. I'm liking how they're doing it. It seems fairly realistic, I suppose.
Yeah, the pilot. Yeah, the first thing you notice, like in the pilots, like Lord of the Ring or House of Power, like it's one of those shows that just takes a long time to get to the point.
Yeah. Well, I think, ultimately what I have to say about both these things is I wish they were both movies that I was watching and I could watch in one sitting and not have this stretched out for so long.
Yeah. Like I've noticed the pacing for one is that, in Rings of Power it takes a long time for anything to happen. It was like 5 episodes for Galadriel to finally leave the island.
Yeah. It Yeah, because the first episode she jumps the ship. Does she get to the island at the end of the second episode or before it ends?
No, it was the end of the second episode.
Yeah, so we spent 3 hours in that one town.
Or no,
there.
wait. I think it was the third episode is when she gets to the island. Second is when she's adrift on that raft.
Yeah, so we just spent a bunch of time there. Now, we really didn't need to. A lot of that could have been cut out. If it was a movie, we'd probably cut a lot of that out.
Yeah, because I don't like the. I noticed they're using the kitchen sink method for this.
Yeah.
For Rings of Power, like they did with the Picard series and the other series.
Yeah.
They just sort of throw everything in, just to pad out the timeline.
Are we talking about them both at the same time, the stories?
Yes.
Okay.
Whereas in Game of Thrones, you can notice that the pacing is really quick. Like every scene, like something happens in every scene that's necessary for the plot.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like, because in every episode does seem to like really advance things. Unlike Lord of the Rings, where we spend 3 hours in the same city. Like this last episode, number 5, we watched basically all of like the getting the husband up to the marriage point. Like, so we get like,
Yeah.
we're not wasting 3 episodes. Well, we did waste some time trying to find a husband for her, but once they decided to actually do the marriage, it was just 1 episode. But there's other stuff going on during the whole finding a husband thing. But it felt like at the end of each episode, the story did advance somewhere, rather than it was like at the end of like each episode of Lord of the Rings, it felt like, oh, we're still here at the island.
Yes. Like even in the scene, like there's stuff.
We're still in this scene.
But even in the House of Dragons, like even in that one scene where she's trying to find a husband, like there's also that stuff going on, like a lot of backstory, like that kid that guy who was like bad mouthing this kid, and then they fight, and the kid actually wins.
Yeah.
Like he actually kills the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder that's actually where it gets kind of strange though, because I think in real life like that would start like a big war between 2 houses, I think.
But that was the thing about like those people from different houses were from like warring houses.
Yeah.
They're already fighting each other.
Oh, they're already fighting. Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. Good.
But like it's like little things like that where like it sort of brings you into the universe.
Yeah.
Makes it feel like there's like a whole world happening even outside that story.
Yeah.
Storyline, so you can't hold a sword. Yeah.
Although I think I do feel like we are stuck with more closer look at. We're seeming staying with one house more in this, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Lord of the Rings, I feel like we are getting like tons of different storylines that we have to follow, like in the first Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing the Game of Thrones method.
Oh yeah, no, the Game of Thrones-ified, yeah, Lord of the Rings. Sorry, go ahead.
Defeated Aragorn.
Oh, there we go with the leg, yeah.
That's a giant leg.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be Sauron. You
Yeah, this
collect all
one
the
is
pieces-
bigger than
Yeah, to collect all the pieces, you get a Sauron,
the Dragon Queen.
who is like a giant thing.
Yeah.
He's not really a giant in the Rings of Power.
Have you seen Sauron yet?
Yes, only we're not supposed to think he's Sauron yet.
Well, for me, I assume Sauron's like a Valar or something like that, right? He's a higher ranking person than an elf, isn't he?
Yes.
So, like, that's just an elf we're seeing there in the show. So I'm thinking that's probably just an elf that's working for Sauron.
Yes. Or it could be Elf himself. What's his name? Argos.
Oh, I don't know all the different bad guys in.
Oh no, he has a fantasy name.
Oh, okay.
In Rings of Power.
But yeah, because what I did like about Rings of Power is that we're seeing sort of where the bad guys get their power base a little bit. Because in the other one, in the Lord of the Rings movies with Aragorn here, we just have the orcs, and they're just there already. except they're Uruk-hai, but they're just bred. And then we get mention of Eastern men that we see a little bit of.
Yeah.
And then we never really learn, like, why are they even there? Like, why would anyone associate with
Well,
Sauron
they're
at all?
fighting for Sauron.
Well, yeah, but why, though? And that's sort of what this sort of helps to
Yeah, there was-
tell us in this show. is
They
that-
did have a deleted scene, like when Frodo and the other two were watching the giant elephant monsters passing by. What's his name?
Oh, yeah, Sean Bean's brother.
Yeah, they attack him and shoot a guy down from an elephant, and then he's sort of looking over his body, musing about like, what's this guy's story?
Yeah, why is he here? What's he doing here?
What promises or threats brought him here? And maybe he actually wanted to stay behind or stay home, which kind of brought a lot of humanity to the world.
Well, yeah, so that's what I like about this Lord of the Rings. At least they're showing some of that, where they show you where they get some of their people from and how. Because yeah, anytime you're dealing with like huge armies like that, you're probably about, as we're even seeing in now with the Ukraine, most of them are just going to be conscripts who probably are just there for because they have to be.
Yeah.
It's the only place. Either they'll be in jail or there's no food. That's the only place you can get is in the army.
And
And they have pirates in Game of Thrones this time, which I thought was interesting. Sort of show how like they're setting up the world where, because they are trying to make it seem like this world where they set up all the different factions you'll see in this world. Like there are like different houses, but there are people who are outside of the political thing, like pirates who are sort of
like the Crab Man.
And their only means of survival is to steal because
Gross.
they're shoved out of the rest of society.
Who's feeding people to crabs.
Yeah.
And the king doesn't want to do anything about it. Or the king wants to find like a peaceful solution to it. But all his advisors say, yeah, I have to go to war.
To kill them all.
Which, you know, and again, it's like, it's not really presented as like one option is the good option, one is the bad option. It's like they are, like it is a significant threat, but at the same time, like it's probably better to try for peace. But at the same time, like the people there's this. At the same time, there's the kingdom that's like funding the pirates or benefiting from it, so they have a whole.
Yeah, did they say that people in Essos were helping them out, the pirates or something?
Yeah, there's like these other kingdoms.
Yeah.
That were benefiting from the piracy.
Yeah, just like the
And-
real life. Yeah.
And what was I gonna say?
Sorry, I interrupted you.
But then there's also like what's his face?
Oh, you mean Matt Smith
No, it was
or the Pirate King?
No, it was the Navy guy who housed all the Navy. I can't remember his name.
No, I can't either.
Okay.
Oh, you mean his like cousin or something, right?
Yeah.
The other Targaryen or
Yes, the
whatever it
Navy
is.
Targaryen.
Yeah, the
has-
Navy Targaryen.
The whole has a big, huge navy.
Yeah.
And of course, there's also this like underlying thing about the princess and trying to marry her off, and maybe him trying to marry her off to the Navy guy's son would benefit the kingdom to have a big navy. But then he decides that no, she's not going to marry her off, or no, he's going to marry her off to someone else.
What happened? Oh no! At the beginning, he lost his wife, so he needed a new husband. If you remember,
Oh yeah.
he was probably going to marry back into the other Targaryen's house, but he didn't. Instead, he picked a different wife. All right. So the main thrust of the last 5 episodes of House of the Dragon was at the very beginning there was a succession crisis, but it was solved, and the current king was chosen. to be the king, right?
Yes.
And then, so now, what happened is he doesn't have a son either, and his wife died in childbirth, the queen. So there's no male heir right now, and so he names his daughter the heir, which not many people like. Yeah.
Nice little accessories.
Yeah.
I like these.
Is that the one he got from the cave troll in The Hobbit?
This?
Yeah.
No.
Where did you get that one from?
It was always his.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so anyway, so he needs a new queen, but he decides to, instead of making an alliance to get closer to the Targaryens with the Navy, he decides to marry one of his daughter's friends, actually, and he has a baby boy with her, I think.
Was that the behest of her father, Otto Hightower?
Yeah.
That doesn't really fit.
No.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
But anyway, so then he has another baby with her. Time goes on. The princess who's going to be the queen, needs a husband. One of the choices that aren't really a choice is Doctor Who.
It's Matt Smith.
Matt Smith,
Plays
who is the brother of the
Daenerys
Targaryen. The brother of the king, and also the uncle of the princess who's going to. What's her name? Rhaenyra, yes.
Princess Rhaenyra.
And so so basically now you basically have Matt Smith who wants to be king. You have Rhaenyra who's going to be the queen, who's officially the queen. And then you have the king's current queen, who is going to be alive after the king is dead, and has the son, so she's going to be part of everything too. And so we basically so far have built up what all the different conflicts are going to be, I guess, in these 5 episodes. And this last episode, Rhaenyra finally gets married, and Doctor Who positions himself so that he can get married himself.
Right.
By killing his wife at the beginning of the last episode.
Force choking.
Oh yeah, you can force choke. I
He's
guess.
a wizard. He also shows up in Rings of Power, but we're not supposed to think he's Gandalf yet.
Well, it could be Saruman. I'm guessing it's probably Saruman actually, because he's first.
Nah, it's Gandalf.
Well,
very badly
or it's probably some wizard anyway. That's probably what they're going for.
Even though there's not supposed to be wizards in that timeline.
Well, no, this is how they appear, I guess, or whatever.
Well, apparently not at all. Well, how I understand it.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm not really up to date with all the lore about Lord of the Rings, but from what I hear, like they're not supposed to have hobbits. There's not supposed to be wizards. It takes place, during the Second Age,
Yeah.
and it's like right after the big fight with Morgoth. Which, by the way, they're not allowed to show in the series.
They're not allowed to show Morgoth?
No.
Why not?
There's actually a lot that they're not allowed to do in the Rings of Power series.
Someone else owns Morgoth? Or has
yes,
rights to show Morgoth?
I guess.
It's weird.
But yeah, there's a lot they're not allowed to do. Like, there's whole storylines in the Silmarillion they're not allowed to do in their series.
Well, I just quickly did Game of Thrones. You want me to quickly do Lord of the Rings?
Okay.
So yeah, Lord of the Rings is more about... Oh, he's got a little knife in here.
Yeah, like all those accessories. It's
This is really cool, actually. So,
better than Daenerys.
yeah, well, it's only $20 too. I like the little dragon she's got.
Yeah.
So Lord of the Rings, yeah, it's about basically the big war is over for a while, and all the elves have assumed that there's no threat left. Sauron's gone, so everyone's starting to leave. All the elves are starting to leave, and Galadriel decides to leave too. And she's sort of a rebel, I guess.
Yeah, she's supposed to be.
She gets mutinied against, and she gets sent back home. But right before she decides to, they go on a ship to their home. But before she decides to go home to Elfland, she decides not to. She jumps off the ship, and you saw on the big map there that
Middle of the ocean.
it was a very long journey, and she swam all of it. until she finds
Just
more lost people at sea.
like a shipwreck.
And then she's rescued by the Numenorians or something. The
Numenorians.
Numenorians, yes.
You know, when I saw her like jump into the ocean like that, like my first thought was like, aren't there sea monsters in there?
Yeah, I guess so. 'Cause we
Like-
did see something.
Wouldn't you not want to like just jump into open ocean like that?
I think she had a knife with her.
Well, does that work against sea monsters?
She didn't get eaten by it. What if she was
No, those
attacked?
other people were eaten by it.
Yeah, well, she
They
knew how to
sacrificed those other people.
work it. Yeah.
Because like she's swimming along, then she comes across a raft full of a shipwreck full of people to survive.
Who have no special destinies, so
Yeah.
they're disposable.
And then the sea monster comes back and then eats them all.
Except for the person who has a special destiny.
Yeah, or the two. Well,
Oh, well, yeah, no, well, I'm assuming we already know Galadriel, and then she meets someone there with a special destiny.
yeah.
And then they get rescued by the sea people, and then they...
But it's okay that they died because they were kind of jerks.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Well, that's what they do in show. Well, that's what you do in a show when you want to kill someone off to show that they're a jerk.
Yeah, not feel bad about it.
Well, that was a trick they also did in Sopranos, too, if you watch that again.
Yeah, like everybody they killed were all jerks.
Yeah, no, that they would make sure if they were going to kill someone that they have like a little moment where they're a real jerk. So it's also too to show the philosophy of the show is that everybody's a jerk as well, I think. But so that was and then she goes over to their town. She then convinces them to fight Sauron. She picks up Isildur there, and that's their story. And then there's hobbits who are migrants or whatever. They go from place to place every year, and they meet not Gandalf, who gets tossed onto the planet with a firebomb.
Yeah, he falls from a meteor.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty cool looking.
Yeah, and the fire's not hot.
Yeah. And then they basically get kicked out. The hobbits who find him get kicked out for keeping him around because he's dangerous.
Yeah.
And then eventually they get attacked by wolves and then get brought back in again. And that's the Hobbit story. They're just sort of wandering around with this Gandalf, really, and that's about it. And then we've got the dwarves and the elves, where the elves want Mithril so they can survive on Middle Earth, but are lying to the dwarves about it.
Yeah.
But Elrond is being truthful with his dwarf friend there.
Durin, yeah.
And they have a past, but they've learned to trust each other again.
So there's like 5 different stories going on at the same time.
And the big final one would be the elf ranger who hangs around the Morgoth, the people the ancestors of the people who fought for Morgoth 1,000 years ago, and they're all resentful that he's constantly counting everything they do, how many sharp knives they have, how many whispers they whisper,
Even though,
because they assume that the humans are going to fight for Morgoth again. And then in the last episode we're watching is about, I guess, the people who decide to fight for the good people and the bad people splitting off with each other, and I guess we're building up to a mini Helm's Deep with them.
yeah.
So there's the two stories, I guess. Do you want to comment a bit more on? So yeah, so I guess they're both different. So like, it's probably not too fair to talk about realism as much with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they're both sort of different kinds of fantasy.
So I like that. Yeah, I kind of like the fact that they're different, I suppose.
But only one of them is good.
I tolerate both of them, actually.
Well, one's more interesting than the other.
Yeah, the other one actually, Lord of the Rings is not really interesting at all. I just really like looking at it, actually. It's not bad to look at. They spent $1 billion or something on it, or $500 million.
Yeah.
It's actually to start comparing this to even other things. This is like the most expensive TV show ever. Like, they're really putting all their money into this, $500 million. It's very similar to back when the Fox studio put equivalent of something less than $500 million, but it was the largest movie ever, called Cleopatra, which was 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how I guess big budget how big budget movies from two different eras do things. Because I notice now it's all about, I guess, big cities and battles. But back in the day, you couldn't do big battles in cities, so a lot of it, say in Cleopatra, when they'd really show off stuff, it'd be like, it'd be actually mainly sets. It'd be like a huge boat. They'd make a huge boat that Cleopatra had, and there'd be a big set everywhere that you could go on to. Or they'd have the Roman Forum, and they would have dancers and animals and and other things like that. And for 10 minutes, you just watch all these things come at the camera. It wouldn't be an action sequence, basically. That's not how they... I guess they didn't even have the special effects for it back then. And they'd very rarely do battles. Maybe you'd see an army sort of look at each other, but battles didn't happen very often back then.
Well, they had like huge battles.
They
like, I know, like Spartacus, they had like they had to actually get a whole army of people together, and get all these costumes, like Roman soldier costumes and slave costumes, and like they had to put like a lot of work into it back then.
Well, yeah, they had to put a lot of work into it, and if you compare, say, that action sequence to the Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit, that's only 10 minutes. All that work only got 10 minutes of film out of that, and even then, the armies are not as huge, and you don't get all the different... And they couldn't make big Balrogs or things like that either.
No, well, not very convincing ones. Well, they did a lot.
Like, the battles could not be as the same scale as they are now, basically.
Yeah, I guess Lord of the Rings kind of...
Like, say, in the opening to Lord of the Rings, they couldn't do the opening to Lord of the Rings in Spartacus.
No.
So that's why the battles didn't happen as much. They'd have other things. But now that we can do battles, there's big battles in everything now compared to the past. And they go on forever.
There were big battles in Cleopatra.
So there's one big battle in Cleopatra, and that's when the two navies fight each other. And it's a pretty short thing, too. And it looks pretty good, too, because it is real people, like, fighting each other in these ships.
Also the siege in Egypt.
And models.
The siege of Egypt in Egypt.
Yeah, but that battle is not in anywhere near the scale of
no.
anything in the other shows.
No, but it is pretty impressive.
I'm not saying there was no battles, but there were less and smaller scale, and they had to like hide the scale of it too back then.
Yeah.
If you want,
well, yeah.
But in the '60s, they did battles even larger than they do now in CG. In the movie War and Peace, where they actually got hundreds of thousands of people in the Russian army battling each other, and they'd have wide shots, helicopter shots of different skirmishes all over the battlefield, and that was only something you could do in Russia, basically. But yeah, it's interesting to compare what you do for big budget spectacles, I guess, in the past compared to now.
Yeah.
What you can do with special effects. So that's my main thing, I guess, about that.
But more... Well, I guess my opinion is, the more I see Rings of Power, the more convinced I am it's a money laundering scheme.
Yeah, well, I definitely... Oh, sorry.
Like, it looks very cheap for a big budget show, really. Like, you're looking at the costumes and, like, even the CGI backgrounds and stuff. Like, it doesn't look like impressive. Certainly not as impressive as Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Even House of Dragons has, well, probably even like a fraction of the budget. Looks much better.
Oh yeah, so I think I read somewhere it's 200 million for House of the Dragon.
Yeah. You can actually see where the money went. It's like they build actual sets. Use like actual props.
They do have some sets in Lord of the Rings, like the mini Helm's Deep.
Yeah, they do have. I know. Yeah, they do have some sets, but not as convincing.
Not as cool. Oh, this is a random thing I had here, actually.
Yeah.
Do you think dragons would hinder or hasten the invention of gunpowder?
Well, depends.
If you're like earnestly trying to fight the dragons, I think it might hasten gunpowder, assuming the dragons can't defeat you before you can invent it.
Yes. Like if they have the know-how.
So what's in this special thingy with the...
Nothing.
Oh, I guess the... Oh, this must be his cape then. Maybe it's Sauron's cape.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I got a torso of Sauron. With Frodo now and his foot.
Kind of want you to get all of it now.
Yeah, me too.
I like Sauron. Sauron's one of those few bad guy designs I like who've like stood out to me throughout time. You know, like Darth Vader or the Shredder. You know, it's... Although I guess they all kind of look the same.
No idea what this is.
That is
Or,
nasal spray.
It's the
Nasal spray.
water of light that Galadriel gives him.
Oh, do you think that would work on a stuffy nose?
Probably.
You'd spray it up there.
Yeah, the light of whatever.
Ah, yes, very good.
This
Or you
is
hold it
fun.
in your fist, because to get maximum light, I guess you hold it with your
You
fist.
shake it.
Yeah.
Get the light out. Yeah. Or get the things going to.
Oh, Gandalf doesn't have a light.
Sword. Oh, there, he's got sting.
Ah, yes.
Nice.
Yes. Does he have a little sheath for it?
Yes.
Oh, you took it out of the sheath there.
There.
These are good. These are good figures. I like
like
these
it.
figures.
It's no more the size of a dagger to
Yeah.
a normal person's.
Yeah, it's just a tiny thing. Yeah, no, like like here's Aragorn's dagger, eh?
Yeah, it's basically looks like a sword.
Yeah.
in his hand. Yeah, diamonds like this. There's good stuff, good toys, good design. Anyway, where was I talking about?
Oh, I don't know where he's talking about something specific.
Visuals. We're talking about the visuals.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I kind of do like the special effects in Lord of the Rings, though. It's the only reason why I'm still. Well, yeah, it's the only reason why I'm still watching it.
I don't know, 'cause even the costumes, they look really silly. Like they
It's a
look
very
like,
silly show compared to Game of. Well, I think Game of Thrones is slightly silly too, but.
I know, but I mean, it looks real. Looks a lot more like a stage play, really. With like cheap-looking costumes
Yeah.
and the acting.
Yeah, it's
Like even in like the fifth episode where she had that fight with all those, like they're trying to train up all the Númenóreans how to fight an orc. And then she's like, "Come at me, bro!"
Oh yeah.
And then they all like attack her, but it looked like sort of like a ballet dance instead of an actual fight. Or she's like twirling around, and they all twirl around, and she like deflects with the sword, and they all twirl around and do more attack. Oh, and then one of them scores a hit and gets to be a lieutenant
Yeah.
instead of earning that position.
I don't. Well, I don't know. I don't know how that. Yeah, because if you're lieutenant, that means you should be trained in whatever your officer trade is there.
Yeah.
So he should be trained as a navigator by then if he's a lieutenant.
Yeah.
Or whatever he's. I don't know what he is. He in the cavalry? Because like when
Wait, but
Isildur shows up, he says he's in cavalry, but.
yeah, no, they got fired, didn't they?
Or they all did or something. But Isildur was able to
Yeah.
get into the cavalry anyway.
Yeah, they have
By the
Isildur
end.
who's in this series. Ooh, I guess what is going on with Isildur? Because like first he doesn't want to be in the navy, but then he wants to be again.
He doesn't. Maybe just gets seasick. He still wants to kill people, but on like solid ground.
Yeah, but then he wants to go fight the orcs.
So another weird thing is like they have like this huge army and everything. Oh yeah, so he's in the cavalry and he's like, all right, you go clean the stables. You're a stable boy. It's like, oh, that's a lot of expensive armor for a stable boy. He has on.
Yeah.
Do you think he could have like, and it's going to be if he's. I think like some nice light clothing for physical labor would be nice too, and
Yes.
not all this heavy armor as well.
That'd work better. But I don't know, this like the whole world doesn't really make sense.
Well, yeah, like they don't think about, I guess, the military in any real terms. Like Game of Thrones does a bit more. Because that's the other interesting thing. I watched videos about the history of the Targaryens and the Lord of the Rings, because people put that on the internet. So they basically already, you can find out the entire story of House of the Dragons by just watching some videos, really. And I think I've heard that they're doing this on purpose now, and you can do it the same with Lord of the Rings, because there's some broad strokes there already. Because like Game of Thrones ended the way it is, they're really trying to go for, they chose House of the Dragon because the story's already written down.
Yeah.
So they know that they're not going to be stuck with like a weird ending.
Turns out Daenerys is a hobbit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she is hobbit size.
One thing I don't really like about this Aragorn figure is the face. See, has a very Frankenstein-looking face.
Well, he's 87 years old. His face is
I
melting
am
from
not
old
a
age.
monster.
Where's Kitty?
I don't know. But anyway, what were we talking about?
Yeah, he just kind of has a dumb look on him, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, like his accessories.
Yeah. So what's his other sword then? If it's not that, it's just
It's his regular sword.
yeah. There's no writing on it, just a regular
From
sword.
Fellowship. I think all these figures are from Fellowship.
Yeah.
So for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because he'd be white in a different movie, wouldn't he? The Gandalf. He'd be Gandalf the White.
yeah, and the other two.
Yeah. So this is from the first one.
Yeah. No.
Oh yeah. So. Oh yeah. So we should probably move on to the other things you were talking about.
I guess that was the visuals we were talking about. So how about the acting?
So yeah, another interesting thing is that there's only Doctor Who's the only recognizable person
Yeah.
in the both series, and these two like expensive series don't have any other names. Because like back in the day, a movie was $100 million movie was sold on the fact Brad Pitt was in it, and now I guess the IP they're switching to over now the IP's the star, I guess, rather than the person. Because this is all about so I guess all the acting is from people you don't know, so you don't glam onto it as much, I suppose.
Yeah, I see a lot of new names. Well, actually, I don't know.
I like the only actor I can think of who I really like watching whenever he's on screen is that bad guy we are saying is or isn't Sauron. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's just pretty. He's okay. Pretty convincing of a guy who doesn't want to be king. Who doesn't, like I said, he doesn't want to be Sauron anymore. I guess that's the thing. But Galadriel keeps forcing him into it.
I don't know. I'm hoping he's just another elf dude that was corrupted. I don't know if it has to be Sauron, but I suppose it needs to be.
I'm sure it is. Very heavily five shadowed.
Yeah, well, but he's elf looking. And he should look pretty and not weird if he's Sauron.
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, acting, and yes, so in House of Dragon.
But it doesn't matter if he's Sauron or not. He is my, so far, if you're talking about acting, that's the one I glammed onto the most in all of the Lord of the Rings series of acting-wise.
Yeah.
Everyone else is fine, I guess, but no one seems to have any charisma that's making me go, oh, I can't wait to see him again on screen, or her.
Yeah. We have like the opposite problem with House of Dragon. Well, I think all the actors do a really good job.
Yeah, no, I do.
Like a very convincing job.
Yeah, I do like actually how kind of lame the king is. He's just sort of a doofus.
Well, he's just a guy who wants to. I kind of feel sorry for him, actually.
Well, no, he's just
He's trying to do the best he can with like a rambunctious teenage daughter and like a whole kingdom he has to manage, and everybody that wants him to marry off his daughter and do a bunch of things he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like he's like almost like a middle manager who's in too high of a position he doesn't want to be in. Just wants to go home to his kids at night. Doesn't really care too much about being king. Well, I thought he was. I just like the fact that the king is just kind of a lame guy.
I wouldn't say he's lame.
He's kind of lame.
I wouldn't say he was lame. I know he wants to do right by the realm and his family.
Yeah. But he's sort of wishy-washy. But I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I like the fact that he's kind of, because, like, he should have, like, stabbed his brother in the neck the second he had him on the ground, you know?
Yes.
Like, he's obviously dangerous. He's going to kill everybody.
Yeah, so many times where he should have, like, a different king would have, like, probably handled it worse.
Oh, you think he handled it well?
Well, no, he was handling it. He did what he thought was best.
Oh, when he let his brother live?
What?
No, I'm saying, like, I think the king should have killed his brother, you know, when he had him on the floor.
Well, yeah. Like, he kind of had every right to at that moment.
Well, yeah, and he was obviously super dangerous to everybody, but he didn't kill him anyway. He just banished him.
Yeah, but, like, well, it's still his brother.
Yeah, I know, but when his brother shows up, he doesn't do anything. He just sort of lets him sit down. Like,
Yeah,
he
well,
just lets his brother walk all over him.
Well, yeah, he doesn't just fly off the handle like someone else might have.
Yeah, I know, but just he's a bit more... He's someone who can walk over a bit more easily than others.
Well, I think, like, in that scene, it was sort of, he had to...
And-
he sort of had to just...
No one seems really scared of him either. Not that you have to be scared of him, but, like, his cousin's like, you know, well, he shouldn't have come here like this anyway. It's undignified. You should have made him wait in the last episode.
Yeah, like, he's just...
And he's shuffling around with a cold too all episode.
Yeah, because you see... Well, because he's dying.
Yeah, I know, and his wife died too, so he just always looks like sad and dumpy all the time, which is what I like about his character.
So I think it's another plus for House of Dragon.
Well, yeah,
It's,
no, like I feel like
the pacing of the series, like all that stuff in like all 5 episodes of Rings of Power, all that would have happened in just 1 episode in House of Dragon.
Yeah, they're really stretching that out
Yeah,
in Game of Thrones.
but it seems like they have to like cram in a whole bunch of like a lot of story they're trying to cram into 1 season.
Yeah, no, I like it better when it feels like there's too much, like, or they can't get it all in. But it's still like well thought out though.
Yeah, it's like well paced. I think it's pretty well paced.
The
Like how they show the passage of time. Like they don't just, or well, I guess they don't just like tell you it's been so and so since this and that. It's like even with the king, like you see, like in every other scene, he's like his hairline rescinds a bit, and he like he gets like the scratch on his hand in the first episode, and then he loses his fingers in the next episode, and then. Like it's not really like ham-fisted right in your face.
yeah, okay, because I haven't actually noticed those little things too. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But they do, yeah. So like they do show the passage of time.
Yeah, no, I want something to take over a longer period of time. Like I don't. TV shows always seem to be taking place in real time for some reason. You know, like say like the old Star Trek, where
Yeah.
it seems like they talk about something happened last week or something. Like it always
Yeah.
seems to, like, each episode seems to take a week in real time, basically. You know, and each year is a year.
Yeah.
Each season's a year to Star Trek. But like, I would like to see them get away from that because you don't need to do that anymore with this new TV.
No.
Because like back then, in like Star Trek, you have your 10 regular characters and you have to keep them for the whole 7 years. But because that's what people expected back then. But you don't have to do that now. You can switch them up all the time. You can kill off Ned in the first season.
Yeah, because everyone has to copy Game of Thrones now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Game of Thrones will copy Game of Thrones too.
I hope not.
Well, I don't know, because actually Game of Thrones is pretty good at historical realism. One big realism to history is that it's always repeating itself over and over again.
So,
All rebellions happen all the time in all the same ways.
castle, and I guess Rhaenyra is gonna go crazy and burn King's Landing then.
Let's see. What could you be doing? Well, maybe, because there is going to be a huge civil war.
So, yeah.
Well, I guess King's Landing never... Are those buildings still there? In the new series? Or in the old series? Because I guess King's Landing probably doesn't get completely obliterated then in this series.
No, like the castle, main castle's still there.
Yeah.
Although we don't see much of the city of King's
Yeah.
Landing or anything.
Well, just that one time when they go down there into the brothels, but
Yeah.
they don't really... They really stick with the main guys. We don't really get to see much else.
Yeah.
Alright, we're at an hour, so maybe... Well, how many other categories are there?
Well, that was it.
Oh, okay. Oh!
Then we have the acting in Rings of Power.
Oh, well, yeah, I was saying that I didn't get... Because, like, with the acting, that person we're talking about, the king, yeah, the reason why I liked that he was kind of a doofus and all those subtle things you're talking about is because it had all that subtlety in it, you know?
Yes.
And nuance in it, while they don't really have that in Lord of the Rings, where they don't really have a character that's sort of like the king, but is kind of a doofus as well. They're all kind of one note, really. Oh, did Daenerys lose her arm?
Oh, I broke Daenerys' arm.
Will it pop back in again? Or?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's supposed to pop out.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just broken. It feels this feels really cheap though.
Yeah, it was
Which I guess
20
it was.
bucks. Yeah, it was only 20 bucks, but it's old too. You know what? I wonder if it's old and it is just brittle and it broke.
The plastic is very soft.
Yeah, so if you're the Diamond Guy stuff, I guess then.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, all the acting is kind of whatever. That's all my. So, what's your?
Well, though, like it looks like it's stage play acting, or not still. Like yeah, it looks like acting from a stage play.
Yeah. They're talking to a faraway audience.
And the dialogue. It's like they're trying to sound very Lord of the Rings-y, but it's just not working.
Yeah, I don't really like Lord of the Rings dialogue. I liked it before. If you read The Hobbit and Fellowship of the Rings, it's a bit more colloquial, and then it gets really formal in Lord of the Rings, like in the last two books. And I liked it before it got like that in Lord of the Rings. You see that with the movies too, where it really gets self-serious by the third movie.
But it's like they all talk in these, you know, those memes where they have like a picture and like a caption underneath.
Yeah.
It's like a picture of a tree. It's like trees are good. Like they talk like bumper sticker slogans.
Yeah, there was, because I noticed, yeah, a lot of the times you'll get things like, there'll be a scene and then someone will I guess, put a point on it by saying some platitude like, there's only darkness when there's no light, or something, you know, generic like that.
A wolf can howl at the moon, but he can never catch it.
Yeah, yeah, or,
Like what's that supposed to mean?
mud's always slippery when wet. Or, you know, like Dr. Phil stuff, you know.
Don't feed them after midnight.
Yeah. So yeah, no, they were talking. I remember Red Letter Media talking like this about Picard season 2 as well. Like they talk in a lot of those kind of platitudes, and they just keep saying it over and over again. Oh yeah, his arm.
Yeah, like they just say stuff just to say stuff, but
Yeah.
just to sound smart and what's the word?
Well, and also like, because it's a show and it's trying to do what all good shows do. Every character has a problem they have to overcome in order to like advance the plot. So that's why you get a lot of these platitude things. It's like, no, you must believe in yourself. Otherwise, Sauron will win because we can't advance this plot any further, and you can't get your special armor.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, are they? Oh yeah, I guess they haven't. Are they on a? There's no fetch quest for a special sword or anything yet, is there?
No.
Yeah.
But there's. Well, I guess speaking of storylines, like the only one that I'm actually interested, or the one that I actually like, is the one with Durin and Elrond.
Yeah, well, talking about acting, the the Durin, that's the name of the elf. Well, not the elf, the
Dwarf.
The dwarf
Yes.
prince, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty. He has some charisma in him. I like him. I like the conversation they had at the end.
Yeah. Like where he's
It's like the fate of the dwarves are in my hands, are they?
Yeah, say it again.
Yeah. Whose hands are they in?
The fate of the elves.
Yeah. But no, I thought he took it very well though, because he seemed to have no follow-up questions like why is all the secrecy and what's going on here.
Kind of like how he just sort of said yes.
Yeah, no, he just
Instead
went.
of like saying, "Oh, how could you put that on me?" or whatever, or like, "Why should I help the elves when they don't help us?" He's just like, "Well, the elves need our mithril to live. Okay, let's do it."
Well, no, but he does know like that means he really has the power now because
Yeah, because they owe him.
well, they owe him, and if they want to stay in Middle Earth, they have to be in his good graces.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because the elves don't really say why they are being secret about it, and yeah, I like the character turn where he's not mad at it, but I would at least be curious about why all the secrecy and have follow-up questions. But maybe that's for the next episode.
Yeah. And they did, one thing I did like here was they talked about the progression of time for an elf and like a dwarf.
Yeah, no, I like that too.
Like when they first meet again, because like they were friends already, and like Elrond goes away for like 20 years, and Durin sort of confronts him about it, like you were gone for 20 years, never heard a thing from you. And but everyone's like, yeah, so it's just 20 years.
Yeah.
Because like to an elf, like elves are immortals. 20 years to an elf
is a weekend.
It means nothing.
No, it's like if you just like. Yeah, you hung out with your friends on Friday and you didn't call them till Monday.
Yeah.
You know?
But for Durin, like he had like a whole life.
So, but I thought they live long too, though, don't they?
Yes.
So, but 20 years matters though to dwarves.
Apparently.
How long do they live for?
I don't know, like 200 years or something maybe.
And I assume 20 years isn't much. Well, yeah, no, 10 years. Yeah, maybe that's a lot.
Yeah, still a lot. Like a lot can happen in 20
anything,
years.
Yeah.
Like his best friend missed his wedding and at the birth of his kids.
Yeah.
Like never like sent a letter or anything. Yeah, well, I just liked how
250 years on average, it says here on Korra, if we can trust it at all.
I just like how they sort of addressed how that like time dynamic works for them.
Yeah, no, time is something that interests me a lot, actually, in movies and perception of it. Because, like, these ages are, like, thousands of years, and when you, like, read the timelines in the books, Lord of the Rings books, it seems like not a lot happens in 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And if you, like, just look at any, like, normal history, like, what a lot happened over our last 2,000 years, you know?
Yeah, we invented iPhones.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, we went from living like hobbits to having iPhones in 2,000 years, and the Hobbit and the people in Middle Earth didn't change at all, really.
Well, not even hobbits. Like we were. Was that like probably Bronze Age or the end of the Bronze Age?
Well, 2,000 years, so like year one, so that would be around the time of right after the end of the beginning of the Roman Empire, after the civil wars of the Roman Republic.
Yeah.
So
if it went from like Roman times to now.
Yeah.
So we like blew right past Hobbit times.
What are we saying Hobbit's times are? Is that like
Like
1800s
medieval.
or something? Or medieval? Oh, okay.
Around there.
Yeah.
Or we could even say 1800s. We still real way past them.
Yeah. No, nowhere near iPhones. Well, maybe when you have magic, you don't need to invent things.
Yeah.
Magic just takes care of it for you.
Yeah. Although, normal people don't have access to magic, do they? In Lord of the Rings. Apparently, there's only like 5 wizards in all of Middle Earth.
Well, in the books, definitely, magic is actually kind of subdued quite a lot. Like, they don't... It's not in your face. It's not Dungeons and Dragons magic where Gandalf is throwing fire out of his fingers all the time.
Yeah.
Like, he barely... Like, the way he uses magic in Lord of the Rings is kind of how he uses it in the books. He doesn't really... Like, The Hobbit, how he uses magic in The Hobbit's not like the books. He's a lot more magical than usual, I think, in the movie. Than in the books. Gandalf.
More magical in the movies?
Yeah. He's throwing more fires around, I think, in the movies than he was in the book.
Magic seems to be a lot more subtle,
Well, it is in the books.
or at least not used as much.
But I don't know, is this more of a time of magic or something? But not a lot of people are using magic, I guess.
You shall not pass.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Too bad.
Ah, okay, then I'll just pee here, I guess.
Well, don't pee here.
Okay.
Just use the bathroom downstairs.
I'm a ghost.
Yeah.
Whoa, ghost.
It's the torso of Sauron. You shall not pass.
Oh, here's my leg. Oh. But I
Can I
need to
pass?
find my
No.
head. Well, you're not even using the bathroom though. Why can't we go to the bathroom?
Because every time you always make a big mess in there.
Ugh. Well, isn't who cleans the toilets in Middle Earth? Like,
Who do you think? We don't.
or magic it out.
Yeah, I don't use magic to. We don't have magic servants or anything like that. I have to do it myself.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. So like what? It's like you make the water flush away, or it just disappears, or.
No, I have to get like down on my hands and knees and scrub it out.
Oh, okay.
Scrub a toilet and like I have to get like bleach and stuff and be careful not to mix it with pneumonia and it's just a whole hassle.
Mixing bleach and ammonia?
Yeah.
Like, is that some sort of weird magic stuff you're doing? Alchemy by putting chemical, or what do you call it, potions together?
Yeah, sure, why not?
I wonder if science would look like magic to other people.
Well, what do you think we use?
Yeah, what do they use? Yeah, that's right. Actually, Gandalf has a vial of napalm he keeps in his jacket. And
We
throws
actually
it
have
at
access to like super science.
Yeah.
Super magic science. Like his staff is actually a remote control for science.
For drones, it controls drones.
Yeah, it controls hundreds of tiny drones that have hologram emitters in them.
Or the oh yeah, oh yeah, okay. And it creates monsters that he
Yeah.
fights.
Exactly. What, you think I would fight a real Balrog?
Oh yeah, that's right. We see it in the first Lord. Yeah, that's right. We saw it in the Hobbiton party, right? Where you make Smaug out of the fire. No, it was the other hobbits who made Smaug out of the fireworks.
Yeah, it was the fireworks that turned into a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those were expensive. Stop using my fireworks.
They cost money, do they? What do they use for money in Middle Earth? How do you trade with each other in Middle Earth?
Gold.
Oh, okay. And so farmers have gold then, or you give gold to farmers, and I guess and they purchase stuff with gold then.
Yeah, we buy the food from the farmers, and the farmers buy stuff with their gold.
Okay.
Buy farm equipment with their gold, so they can farm more food,
Yeah.
so they can sell more and buy more equipment.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay,
have like
so
a
the
whole economic system here. You just
Okay.
they didn't really show it to you.
Yeah, they didn't.
Movie.
They just have farmers working in dirt. Well, actually, I don't even see them farming. They're just sort of in a town in dirt.
Yeah.
And and then some of them are good and some of them are actually bad, as the elves thought they were.
Yeah. Turns out good and evil are our choices.
I guess.
No, turns out good and evil is just a thing that you are.
Ah, yeah.
You're not. Like,
Or it's a foreign thing that comes into you if you stab yourself with a knife.
yes.
Yeah, what is evil a
Oh, yeah.
choice in Middle Earth, or because like they do have sicknesses that they curse people with in Lord of the Rings, like Theodore, or what's his name, the King of Rohan was. They seemingly are trying to say in the show, at least, that evil's a choice because those people went down and chose to help Sauron, I guess.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people do get stabbed by things and become corrupted, though. So, do you make a choice, or is it corruption? Because also, as King Theoden, or whatever his name, Theoden of Rohan, was inflicted with a sickness that made him weak and useless.
Yes.
So, what is Lord of the Rings trying to say? Is it a choice or not? Are you born evil, or?
Evil is what evil does. Because life is like a box of chocolates. Also, you
Euphem-
had me at hello. Measure once, cut twice. I before E, except after C. A wolf can howl at the moon, but it can never catch it. Okay, in conclusion, yeah, we are halfway through right now. House of Dragon is in the lead.
Yeah, probably by far. I also kind of like Lord of the Rings as well, but it's just kind of blah. to
Well,
me.
it's fine. It's okay to like it, even if it's bad.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, that's our conclusion then. I say House of the Dragon. I'm starting to really like it now. Lord of the Rings is just okay.
Yeah, House of Dragons has a huge lead. Unless something turns around for Rings of Power, I say House of Dragons gonna win this one.
Well, the early bird does catch the worm, doesn't he?
But nice guys finish last. Well, you know what? Just this once, you can pass. End.